Do you remember the Tootsie Roll commercial back in the 80s with the owl? And it says, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center?
I know.
1, 2, 3. That is what it feels like right now to be a home buyer. You do not have many choices out there, and you've got to choose fairly quickly, given the situation that we have, which is just the lack of inventory that's out there. So there was an article that was published today in the Boston Globe, and it talked about the ideal number of open houses or house tours to take prior to purchasing your first home. And the number that they gave was not 1, not 2, not 3. It was 50. So personally, I think this is a little tone deaf in the environment in which we find ourselves in right now with the inventory situation. But we're going to get into the article, and I think it comes from a great place, and there are some merits to some of the things that he does discuss here. But unfortunately, I just don't think it really resonates with first-time home buyers today. So before we get into it, if you are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Brian. I'm a realtor here in the Boston market. And on this channel, we cover all things real estate. If you do enjoy content like this, I just kindly ask that you smash that like button and also click the subscribe button to be notified of future videos. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Okay, again, this is an article from the Boston Globe, and it says, why you should tour 50 homes before you buy. Yep, 50. And this is from John Gorey, and he is not a realtor. He is not a real estate professional. He is just someone who I think, enjoys real estate, does a little bit of home improvement work on his own, and has just recently wrote a book called Home Buying 101. Anyways, let's jump into it here. As you find promising listings, it's time to start touring them with your buyer's agent. Find your most comfortable shoes because this may take a while. Watching a show like House Hunters on HGTV, in which buyers tour just 3 homes for sale, one of which is almost always over budget, and then choose one to purchase, you may think the home search process could be tidily wrapped up in a weekend. But that's not usually how it works in real life. And by some accounts, it's not how it works for TV buyers either. The average American home buyer reported touring 9 homes over the course of an 8-week home search in 2020, according to the National Association of Realtors. When it comes to home tours, more is better. Touring homes for sale isn't just about finding a home to buy. It's one of the most important parts of your home buying education. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the more homes you see, the better perspective you have when you do walk into something new, so that you can compare and contrast it versus something else that you saw. But again, the environment in which we find ourselves right now is virtually impossible. There's just not enough homes for sale, and trying to find 50 homes in most markets is going to be exceptionally difficult. Every home you enter, every yard you walk through, every countertop you run your hand over, whether it makes your eyes bulge with envy or your nose crinkle in disapproval, provides you with more information about what features you value the most and what it costs to get them within the reality of your local housing market. Some buyers do fall in love with the first or second home they see and are lucky enough to get an offer accepted right away. Most others, though, will spend weeks or even months honing in on the right choice. That's time well spent. Each home you'll see will make you a more informed buyer, but still, 50 homes, really? Well, yes and no. Okay, so one of the things he talks about here is it is time well spent. I would agree it is time well spent, but the premise here is that you have the luxury of being able to tour these homes and then maybe coming back to revisit them. And the reality is if there's something on the market, at least in the market that we are in right now, again, this is January 2022, if you find something that you like and it's within your budget, you've got to act quickly. So by quickly, I mean within the next 24, 48 hours, because you can bet that there's many other people that are also touring that open house that are thinking the same thing, like, hey, this is a great value. This is a great buy. Hey, it doesn't need a whole lot of work with material costs through the roof right now. Why don't we put in an offer? So this is a luxury, I think, that this gentleman is talking about here, that unfortunately we do not have in today's market. In a balanced market, or when it's a buyer's market, absolutely take your time. Go visit as many open houses as you want to, because there's this huge oversupply of inventory. But right now we're down, at least in my market, in the Boston market, we're down about 50% compared to 2 years ago. So you do the math. I mean, there's just not enough. There's not even 50 homes. I actually did a search. I'm in Watertown, and I did a search for another client of mine who was interested in a single family home in Allston, which is part of Boston. How many single family homes do you think are available right now? Now, granted, it's January, so it's the kind of the quiet season. But how many single family homes do you think are available right now in Allston? Zero. Zero, 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 zero. Literally zero. Not a single family home available for sale right now in Allston. So 50? I don't think so. I don't think it's a good strategy, but let's keep reading. How to tour homes. There may not even be 50 homes for sale in the community you're targeting. We just talked about that. However, if you accept that a quote home tour doesn't have to be a formal real estate showing with your real estate agent present, and if you start early, you could tour a lot more homes than you think. All right, so now he's getting into the specifics. Open houses are obviously one way to do it. Dinner parties, that would be, I think that's a great idea if you're going to someone. But again, how many dinner parties are we having right now? Not a whole lot. People are kind of stuck at home with all that's going on in the world. Online tours, this is a great suggestion, right? So spending a lot more time looking at videos. It says increasingly home sellers are relying on virtual showings wherever possible. This is sometimes something you should take advantage of. I view this as a huge opportunity for real estate professionals in general to really do a good, thorough virtual tour of the properties, because that makes a big difference. In fact, I'm working with a relocation client right now, and we've done everything virtually. I've gone in and I've taken video of the different properties that they're interested in, and I've sent that back. And eventually we found one that was within their budget, that met all the requirements that they had. And we were able to successfully negotiate and accept that offer. Now, that being said, he did eventually come out and inspect it himself, even after the home inspector had been in there to provide his professional report. But I still think, in most instances, even if you're doing things remotely, you still want to go and visit a property and, just double check and make sure that it is what you think it is, especially in the stuff that you can't really see in the video. It's what's going on in the neighborhood. Like, what's it feel like? What's the general, vibe of the neighborhood in which you're planning on purchasing it? So that's really important as well. Anyways, let's keep going. An online 3D tour is a great way to explore a home from afar, and it can tell you a lot about its layout, light, and functionality. It can help you rule out homes that look appealing in well-staged photos but fail the, quote, flow test on a virtual walkthrough. Once you discover, for example, that the glamorously updated bathroom pictured in the listing is actually down a steep basement stairway, not off the upstairs bedroom as you had imagined. And then he talks about a virtual visit poor substitute for visiting a home in person. We just talked about that. Okay, and then another suggestion here that he has is to send your agent. Another way to make your home search more efficient is to let your real estate agent filter listings for you. Real estate agents often get a first look at new homes as they hit the market. If you've been working together for a while and communicating your tastes and preferences, your agent will be able to tell you whether a new listing is worth your time or one you can safely ignore and why. And if you can't see a home in person, if you're relocating from another state, for example, or simply crunch for time, your real estate agent may be able to tour the place for you using FaceTime or another video calling service. Absolutely. In addition to getting your agent's expert opinion, that will allow you to ask questions in real time and zoom in on things you'd like a closer look at. Yeah, we just talked about that, right? So having the ability to do a virtual tour, I think it's, again, a tool that is underutilized, even for local clients. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on right now, and a lot of people don't want to be in and out of these houses. And there's a lot of off-market listings right now too, right? Where they're not even advertised in the public purview because people don't want to have open houses and have a bunch of people traipsing through their house. So yeah, absolutely. You want to have a real estate agent who's plugged in and has good access to those listings in addition to the ones that are publicly available. Excuse me. and do that video walkthrough. Okay, so this is beware of buyer's blur. All that said, touring too many homes in short succession can create a whirlwind sensation. Before long, you can't remember which house had the creepy basement and which one had the creepy neighbor. That is a great line. Which one had the creepy basement, which one had the creepy neighbor. Or, worst case scenario, it had both. I've seen that. Once you're in the heat of your home search, use the aforementioned strategies to try to limit the number of homes you formally tour to 2 or 3 serious contenders per week. Take lots of photos with your cell phone to remind yourself of little details or issues that catch your eye. It can even be helpful to jot down some quick thoughts or record your first impressions in a short voice memo to yourself once you're back in the car. Okay, in theory, I think his comments are spot on. These are the things that you should be doing as a first-time home buyer for the most part, but it really is predicated on having a balanced market, which we do not have right now. So it is still a seller's market out there. So you've got to really set some realistic expectations going into it. Now, one of the things that he mentions, and it's not in the online version, but it is in the print edition, he talks about going to visit a whole bunch of open houses, even if it's outside your budget. And personally, I don't think that's a great suggestion, because what ends up happening is you go visit a place that, let's say, is $100,000, $150,000 more expensive than the top of your budget, and you fall in love with it. And then you keep thinking like, oh man, I wish we could get that house. So you're comparing everything to that house that you can't have. So it's really a disservice. Like it's almost better off not knowing than knowing. So you don't have any point of comparison necessarily. Now, the other thing that this article doesn't mention, and this is why I think it's not terrific advice for first-time homebuyers right now, is that this didn't mention anything about being prepared for when you walk into an open house. And by being prepared, I mean you've got all your ducks in a row. You've got your pre-approval letter. You have contracted with a buyer's agent. You have your earnest money ready to go. Like all the things that you should be doing to prepare yourself for being able to put an offer in on a place, all that stuff should be done before you actually start looking for a house. If, again, in this market, because what happens is if you walk into an open house and you say, well, this is kind of what I'm looking for, so I'd like to make an offer on it, you don't have the luxury of time right now, because I'm going to guess that if you're willing to put an offer in the house, there's many other people that are also considering putting an offer in on the house. So if you know how all that stuff lined up beforehand, you're at a serious disadvantage compared to other people who are prepared. And again, you never know when you're going to walk into a place and be like, yeah, this is the one. And oftentimes you just know it. It's just a gut feel. Now, of course, you have all the stipulations. You've got the inspection, you've got the mortgage contingency, like you can put all those things into the offer, but you got to be ready to rock and roll so that when a house comes along, you happen to go to an open house and the home is within your budget. It's in the neighborhood, it's in the town, it's in the city, the state, whatever it is that you're looking for, you're ready to pounce. That's where I think this article goes a little bit off the rails. Anyways, those are my thoughts. What do you think? Is 50 the right number? Is it 5? Is it 15? Is it 20? Is it 500? I have no idea. I know I myself, when I've purchased properties in the past, I toured just a couple of homes and I can quickly do an analysis as to what meets my needs, what doesn't meet my needs, and you just got to go with your gut. And you know what? It's not perfect. You're never going to find that quote unquote perfect home. That to me, that's what this article ends up doing a huge disservice to people, because what it will put them in the state of is this analysis paralysis, so that they don't do anything. So that happened to a lot of people back in December of not this past December 2021, but of December of 2020. Where they were just like, I just don't know. Are rates going to go up? They're going to go down. Is the market going to go up? Is the market going to go? Well, the market was up, 20% pretty much across the board, across the country. So those people who were sitting on the sidelines saying like, who knows? I don't know exactly what's going to happen, cost them a fortune. I can already see there's some people sitting on the sidelines again who have the opportunity to purchase a home that are saying, oh, I don't know what's going to happen in 2022. Well, let me tell you, prices, even if prices don't go up nearly as sharply, they're certainly not going to come crashing down. There's just not enough homes for sale, and there's way more buyers than there are sellers. So at least in my market, and I'm sure that's pretty much the case across the country. There may be some pockets where it's starting to stabilize or maybe even come down a little bit, but for the most part, where I highly doubt, unless there is some black swan event, the stock market crashes by 50% or, something else happens. I don't know. Some geopolitical thing happens, or who knows what can happen. But you can't predict the future, of course, but real estate has always been a terrific investment. And that's why investors are pouring into real estate right now, is because it's a great hedge against inflation, which we all know inflation is running hot. They say 6%. I think the real number is probably close to double that, but we'll never know. Anyways, I am way off topic here. This all started with 50 open houses. I don't like that number personally. I think it's pie in the sky type stuff in the market that we happen to find ourselves in, but maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? If you did enjoy content like this, again, I just kindly ask that you smash that like button and also click the subscribe button to be notified of future videos. Thanks for watching. Take care.